Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. As of this moment, so this is me and Mut. I started a little Super Bowl season, I think that's what it is, where you play like 5 games and you end up in a Super Bowl and you win. Okay, let me turn this down. And obviously you guys know more about that stuff than I do. So I spoke in the first video, so I played one game and this will be the second game, okay? With this draft that I got. So I had a draft and I drafted like 8 pretty decent players, as you can see here, okay? And the reason why I'm going over this is because I recorded the first game, but I don't know if I'm going to drop it. I don't think it was enough decent material to warrant a drop, but I might just drop it anyways, okay? Because I make a lot of videos that I don't even release. So this will be the second game, and I think we get into a lot of interesting stuff. And obviously, we see his teams. I don't want to alienate the people that love Mut, but stuff like this, it's just so gimmicky. You know what I mean? I saw a player. His name was like Run. I'll leave it alone. Okay, so it is what it is. So here we are in the second game, and I would like to know if there's like a ranking system the way it is in regs with Mut. Maybe one of you guys can let me know. So anyways, for those of you who don't know, these are my adjustments in every single game when I start the game. Obviously, I turn match on, and I should turn option defense to conservative every single time. Okay. While I go over that real quickly, the reason why I do that is, and I don't make any other adjustments. The reason why I turn option to conservative is as we can see, we focus on the quarterback on the option. The con is dive and pitch left open on the option. So, that's not really what I've been thinking about now that I read this. It's funny how I run this and I don't even read this stuff over here, right? But I picked this primarily because when a player runs something with the quarterback, like quarterback read, and they fake the handoff and they run off with the quarterback, right? We'll be a lot more conservative on the back end to attack the quarterback. Now, what's the weakness of that? So I haven't even read this until just now. It's just kind of funny. Okay, I was expecting to read what I'm about to say, so hopefully I don't sound stupid. But if we have the offensive line, this is the defensive line. You have your quarterback, your back, and then fake handoff here, okay? And we have the option as a quarterback to fake it off and then run this way, right? Well, if we have option defense on conservative, the way I viewed it would be like the back defensive end on the quarterback run side, or the back linebacker on this side would not be feeling like their run fit. They would be a lot more conservative and open up to deal with the quarterback. And obviously the weakness in that is the cutback run, in my opinion, right? Because if I'm widening outside, he fakes as if he has the ball and he doesn't, right? Well, now think about the back. The back has the ball, and we're all crashing inside, and now he can cut back into the lane that we were supposed to attack as the backside backer or the backside defensive end. So the reason why I always picked conservative, and I still do, is because I never see anybody run the ball and actually cut back, right? I just never see it. When guys run the ball, they're always running to the planned point of attack, or they're just keeping it with the quarterback and running outside. So I just always go conservative. In rare instances do I change it, but I always keep it conservative. But it's funny seeing this because I had a game where I was having issues with quarterback option, and he kept pitching it off. And I was trying different defenses and stuff. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And now I see how the game is coded in a way. Well, I'm not going to say coded as if it's wrong, but it makes sense to where now we're attacking the dive pitch, and the quarterback has the option to kind of run with the ball. So that was not planned. So anyways, he goes gun pack trips, and this is where I'm like, you know what, let me start fooling around with different coverages. I like to play around with different stuff sometimes. So I'm like, you know what, I think here I picked quarters, regular. And there it is right there. Okay, no, I picked bombs, right? So this is where we get into the world where you kind of create your own stuff based upon the coding of the game. Okay, and I think I have a slide show here. So when we run, see, this is why it's so important, at least in my opinion, to know the rules of a particular coverage against a formation, right? So by now, hopefully, when you see this video, I would have dropped the video for the TRIPS coverages. Maybe I haven't because there's a lot of stuff in there. But when you play against TRIPS and you call palms, these are the rules of the players in the defense, okay? He's mag on 1. He's in a 3-2 read. He's in a 3-2-1 read, actually. Okay, so that's very interesting. He reads 3 to 2 to 1, which is something that I love. He's the 3 rec, and then obviously he's mag on 2, he's mag on 1. And this guy plays a free soft post control is what I call it. Okay, so we're more concerned with this side of the field. Okay, and this is what Saban would call stubby without the 1 there, right? Okay, so basically, if we leave it alone and we just call palms, all right, he's reading 3 to 2, he's reading 3 to 2. If 3 goes vertical, then it just turns really into regular quarters coverage, right? Is 3 vertical? Yes, then he's going to man the route. All right, I'm reading 3 to 2 as well. I'm looking at 3. 3 is vertical. Okay, get my eyes on 2 because now I take 2 vertical. And obviously he's mag on 1, right? Where it changes is where this guy goes out. If he goes out, I'm reading 3 to 2. It's a 3-2 read. 3's out, so now I take that route, okay? And the safety who's reading 3 to 2, when he sees 3 go out, he now knows, okay, the nickel has him, so now he's going to relate to the number 2 and take the vertical for number 2, right? So when you think about it, palms is almost like with the bubble here, it almost plays like cover 2 based upon what happens, right? If we get a route combination like this, well, then it turns into like cover 2, right? Where he takes the flat and then he plays in the hook. On the flip side of that, if we get a route combination like 2 verticals, well, then it turns into like regular quarters, right? And that's why I just love it. That's what really intrigued me about quarters coverage when I first learned about it. A defense that adapts to what the offense does. And I've never gone back since. I just don't like running spot drop coverage at all, right? I almost never ever run it. So anyways, so you saw what I did in the clip. I turned this guy into man on the 3, and I turned him into man on the 2. And that kind of changes things. Okay, because when you think about it, let's, right there. This is where I made a change. So it's not really palms anymore. So this is something where you can maybe come up with your own name. I don't know, right? Because obviously if you were dealing with a real team, who knows, high school, whatever, right? I don't think you would call this palms. You would come up with a different name, right? But you would see how, you know, the responsibilities aren't too far from palms. It's just that we change the responsibilities of 2 players in the defense. Okay, and basically, nothing changes when you make an adjustment like this. So now he's man everywhere he goes on 3. He's man everywhere he goes on 2. Man. So this really looks like a cover 5 variant, or a 2-man. Right? We get rid of palms. Because everyone, if you think about it, everyone's man to man. Right? We don't have to change him because he's mag 1 in palms. The play art will show him as a quarters corner, but we know when we play match and we play palms against trips, he's actually mag. Same with him, right? Okay. So looking at this, this looks like cover 5, but it's a variant of cover 5. When you play this against trips, he's still reading 3 to 2 to 1. So this is what I would call pounder. This is really what it is when you think about it. It's pretty interesting because in pounder, remember, pounder is a cover 5 variant. I call it, well, I don't call it pounder. Vic Fangio calls it pounder, to where everyone's man to man. It's regular cover 5, but the safeties are not playing deep halves. They're playing quarters, right? So against a 2x2 set, he's reading 2 to 1 and he's reading 2 to 1. And it's a defense designed to where we're still playing man to man underneath, but the safeties are not playing outside in. They're playing more so inside out, right? Well, against a formation like this, obviously things change because the strength of the formation in regards to passing strength is over here. We have an overload over here, right? So I call palms. So he's still playing free soft post control, right? And he's still reading 3 to 2 to 1, okay? So we can draw up some stuff. How about we draw out, post, go, right? And this is where you design stuff like this and you try to figure out a way to kind of optimize the defense. You want to put your players in a position to where they play with their help and not against their help, right? So, you know, what do I mean by that? When you call like two-man, I've seen guys do this. They'll call two-man and you'll know it's two-man because they're playing inside leverage on the LOS. And then they'll turn the adjustment tab. You can tell because of post-snap. And they'll press the up to where now the defenders underneath are playing over top. And that makes no sense. Why would you do that while playing two-man? Because when you do that, the corners don't press. They're just playing over the top, allowing stuff to happen underneath. That would make sense if they had help underneath, right? But your help is over the top. So you're almost playing like two guys. They're not really helping each other in that way, right? It's like the same thing as if we're going to double this guy. Let's say he was lined up here. And, hey, I'll play with outside leverage, and you play with outside leverage as well, right? You're not playing with your help there. You guys are playing against your help. It just doesn't make any sense. You're kind of allocating your resources against one another, right? Well, it's the same thing when you play two-man and you press over the top. What would make sense is if you played two-man and you pressed over top and then you change both of the safeties into something underneath. That would make perfect sense, right? Now, obviously, there would be weaknesses to that. But what if we turn this guy into, you know, playing in the middle like a curl, and this guy plays underneath on the 2, right? And then everyone else is playing over the top of their man, right? That would be an instance to where playing over the top adjustment while playing man-to-man, two-man would make sense, right? So I did all that because I run my mouth. But anyways, out, post, fade, right? Well, I'm going to man this guy up. And I'm going to man this guy up. Now look where he's leveraged at, right? Inside. He's reading 3 to 2 to 1. Is 3 vertical? No. Okay, get my eyes on 2. Is 2 vertical? Yes. And he's going to play with inside leverage. And here we see an issue, right? So how can we make this better? Well, to me, either you're going to play directly on him or outside leverage. I think inside leverage is worse. Because if you think about it, let's say we put him outside and we have that route combination post out, right? Well, now I'm outside of the route. 3, 2, 1, and he would be inside. So that guy would be like properly bracketed in a route combination like this, right? And obviously he would run with that. Now obviously there would be problems with that because if this guy runs vertical and then this guy runs vertical, right? Like a post. Well, again, this guy would be properly bracketed, right? But with us being outside leverage, well, now there's your shot, right? Because now we have the inside throw there. But this is where probability comes in. How often do you get a post by the 3 and the 2? Right? So maybe something a little bit more probable would be like a post and a go, right? I mean, again, this is where you get into the world where you kind of make a new coverage and then you try to optimize that coverage based upon alignment. Okay? So anyways, what he ended up running here, I think it was something like this. He ran a drag and they ran the post wheel over here. And it's funny because the game is weird in the way it's coded to where he reads 3, okay, I'm not taking 3, and obviously he runs with it. Get my eyes on 2, right? And I think properly in regular palms or stubby, this guy would take the wheel all the way, and he would not take him. He would go into the next step of his process. I think in stubby he would just play more like post control in between the hash and the numbers. I gotta go check out the writings on that, right? But in the game, they have it to where if he runs to the wheel, then he mans it up, right? So it's kind of weird, but it still plays out in our favor, okay? So why don't I stop running my mouth? We'll just go ahead and run it. We can take a look at what transpires here. So, and look how we created that just by manning up 2 players, right? So this is, I mean, we call palms, but it's just different, right? It's actually what I would call pounder against trips, maybe, right? So that's what happens. He tries to roll out, and we get a nice sack. So obviously he has Michael Vick, and he just wants to run around. from what I've seen, guys, the competition is the same. Okay, I'm not trying to sound, all high and mighty or nothing like that, but from regs to mud, it's the same. I see the same I see the same stuff that don't make any sense. Players make it. I don't see any difference in style of play, really. Okay, but maybe it's because I haven't picked the right session to play, or maybe obviously stuff is when it comes to the tourneys and all that. I don't know. So we'll go ahead and fast forward it. Try to get to some interesting stuff. He goes gun doubles. So here's where I'm like, look, let me. I forgot what I picked. I wonder if I went quarters. So I pause it here. See, that's the thing. I don't know if I'm running quarters or palms. I think I'm running palms. I am. So let's go back. So if you don't know, when you call palms, he's reading 1 to 2. He's reading... No. He's reading 2 to 1. And he's reading 2 to 1. So again, it's the same read where if this guy goes out, well, then I take him. And then he turns into manning up the 1. And then he plays vert hook, right? But we changed to defenders. We turned these guys into man-to-man. And it doesn't change well, we're running pounder. It's really what it is. Okay? Because now I'm Meg, and I'm reading 2 to 1. Right? So what's going to happen is I think he runs an out. So he just mans him up, and he runs vertical, and then I man him up. And for whatever reason, this safety decides, I believe, to man up the 1 going over the top. Well, it makes sense because in palms, the game isn't coded to where, hey, you manned him up, so now I know you're man-to-man underneath. He still thinks that the corner is going to take the flat. So now, no matter what, it doesn't matter if you take an outside release, I have to man the 1. Okay? So that's what happens here. So I don't think that this is true pounder in an instance to where we get like a Ohio concept. Because I think in true pounder fashion, this corner would be good one-on-one over here with this outside release. So the safety would probably help out elsewhere. Okay, but that's just with this 1 route combination. I moved him further inside, which kind of didn't make sense. But you can actually make this can actually be cover 5 cougar. No, it can't. It can't. Because in cover 5 cougar, it's man-to-man, right? And even though I'm in man, I'm reading 2 to 1. So if 2 goes out, he wants to make it look like I'm still in man. He does like a full man turn, but he's still eyeing the number 2. And when 2 is out, he leaks off and he jumps that route. That's what cover 5 cougar is all about, right? And then the safety takes the vertical of this guy, right? So we could do the same thing, but we would just have to user this corner while manning up both of these guys. The only issue is, I don't know if while you play cover 5 cougar, yeah, I'm a man-to-man with this guy, but does he leak off and play into the curl area when he goes out, knowing that this guy's trapping that out? Or does he stay with him with outside leverage? Okay, so I'm not sure. But that's neither here nor there. We'll go ahead and run it. But this is a good trap, though. Like moving him out, making it seem like, hey, throw that out, right? And then at the snap of the ball, when he goes out, oh, I got him out leveraged on the out, and he throws it, and then we're this guy, and we jump it. Right, so I think maybe that's what I was thinking about, but it doesn't make sense because I believe I stayed with the 1 over the top, right? So this is you see how he beats him out because he was aligned further inside? This would be a perfect trap, but it would be hard for this guy to kind of climb over there. He just didn't pull the trigger there. Now I think here I pressed down underneath because I wanted the apex defender to play with underneath coverage. And the problem with that is it turns the entire coverage into spot drop with the other defenders. And I went over that in the first video, so hopefully I dropped that video so you'll know what I'm talking about because I don't want to make this video too long. So anyways, I decided to go with the 3 tight end attack in these 2 games that I've played so far in Mut. Because I'm kind of afraid of trying to run a traditional offense with the fact that I don't really have a lot of players, right? I just have an 88 like an 87, which is fine. And I'm playing against guys who has like abilities all over the place, right? I mean, as you notice, I don't think I have any. I mean, look at that. This guy's already on fire, and we haven't even like ran it down. Or it's just kind of, I don't know, man. Mud seems more like Pokemon to me, and that's just something that's just so uninteresting to me, you know. But it is what it is. You know, I'm not knocking guys who like to play it. So, anyways, so we notice how he's adjusting, right? I ran it a couple of times, I think, and now he wants to shift towards the weak side. So when he did that, I ran duo this side, and this guy seemed to have come scot-free. Now, obviously, in-game, that's what I thought. But watching the replay now, I noticed that my left tackle simply whiffed him so hard that it seemed like he was free. And that's the problem with having garbage offensive linemen. Okay, I think some of you guys stated, hey, offensive lineman really doesn't matter. But I don't know, man. You know, I think it does kind of matter when you're going against Aaron Terminator, whatever they call them, you know. I mean, why not just call him Aaron Donald? You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So this is where I started motioning this guy over because I'm like, all right, is this guy free because of this front? So maybe he'll pick him up. But you'll see, no, my left tackle was just garbage. But this time he's going to pick him up. And we'll see with this motion here that he will actually, at the snap of the ball, still be designed to pick up this guy. So this is a pretty nice scheme you could start mixing up if you were in this 3 tight end package. That's another thing, too, I noticed. With Mut, I can't even pick my own playbook. Right? So, you know, that's kind of irritating. So I'm stuck with the Dallas playbook. So that's another reason why I'm like, in the beginning stages, I'm just in this 3 tight end formation because I haven't really developed like a scheme yet. And it's hard to kind of do that when your opponent has superior talent. So here I know you're in cover 2 zone, and this is, you know, when you don't really have a scheme, this is where you're really just kind of operating off of theory against certain coverages like this. And I know you're supposed to play with outside leverage, and your help is to the inside with the vertical hook. But with a formation like this, with us kind of grouped up here and been running the ball, okay, this guy's tucked inside, so this is where we kind of have this space available to throw this slant, and you should be able to win inside with him playing with outside leverage. So that was my plan here. I don't remember why I motioned him inside. I think I wanted everything to look the same, but I think this kind of was kind of counterintuitive to my offense, but I ran it anyway. So at the snap of the ball, I'm looking for the slant, eyeing this guy, and he doesn't widen enough to get in the window of the slant. And right here in the process of me thinking, I know I'm throwing the slant. I'm not even thinking about this guy because he's playing with outside leverage. At least he's supposed to, while playing what seems to be cover 2. And you should be able to win, right? So I'm really only concerned with this guy. Snap the ball, we rip it, and we see even with that, because of the star player out there, I think that's Revis. It was still a very tight window. So we run it a couple of times. We get to 3rd and 10. I'm like, all right, I need a big chunk, but it looks like he's in cover 2. So look, I run the slant again, and we pick up 15 yards. So that's the thing, you know, if you're playing against superior talent, then you may have to kind of relegate your scheme down to a more simple offense. So as you see with me running the 3 tight end stuff, and it kind of forces your opponent to have to do weird stuff that they're not used to. Okay, and you'll see what I'm talking about, I believe, on the next drive. So we run a couple of plays. This game kind of ends pretty soon because he ends up quitting. He goes bunch wide. So I'm like, look, let me run the traffic deal. So if you don't know, you call quarters. And then I like to man up this apex defender on the 3. So this is what I call 3 traffic. Okay. And then you have to take this guy and turn him to deep middle 3rd. This is what I originally stated in the video I made. So it really plays like a cover 1 style defense. All right. And what you're going to do, you're going to user this player, and you're going to eye the 2 defenders that you did not man with the apex. So you'll see me do it here. I'll take... Okay, so look how quick I get into it. I've run this so many times that I get into it pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm eyeing the 2 and the 1. And with this defense, it's weird because if 2 goes on a quick drag or 1 goes on a quick drag, then I, as the 3 rec, have to take that route, and I just overtake it, having better leverage on the route. All right. And I believe sometimes, despite them doing that, they still will match the route, right? So it's kind of weird how it plays out. I see two go inside, but he doesn't go on like an immediate drag, so you'll see the safety nail down on that. He will take the remaining guy there. And we just really play, when we don't get that quick drag, then we can play a true like cover one style whole player. And as we see, look, we have the deep middle player. So yeah, you call quarters, but it plays out almost like cover one man, right? And traffic is a true, something that they utilize, I believe, in cover three, but I know in cover one and cover zero, they'll run like the traffic check. So I think we're getting close. Here I pick quarters. So this is me kind of going with another defense that I was speaking of. Notice how I manned up these guys. All right. So this kind of changes the defense a bit. And I'll show you what I was thinking about here. So this is another instance where you kind of get in the mode of creating your own stuff because you know the responsibilities of everyone in the coverage. And you're going to see something very interesting with this play, right? So this is what happens when you call quarters against 3x1 nub. I call it 3x0, whatever, right? Trips tight end flex, okay? And we changed it by Xing those two guys out and megging them on the 1 and the 2, right? So nothing else changes. I'm still reading 2 to 1. He's still cutting 1 or poaching 3. He's still matching 1 out and up and poaching 3, okay? So my idea with this coverage was I was going to user the 3 rec and play with outside leverage on the 3 and reroute him at that line of scrimmage. So if he runs a vertical route, let's say we get something like this, well then he would come over and take inside and we would properly bracket that player, right? And he would take that player, okay? And obviously we would get the pounder concept on this side of the field because we're man-to-man and he's playing inside out, not deep half, right? So we see how we kind of develop a different type of coverage just by kind of manning up these two players on this side. And we kind of throw in just another thing in the toolbox that you can utilize. And what you want to do is you want to get to the point to where why would you run this as opposed to regular quarters? Maybe it's to solve a specific problem on this side of the field, right? And my whole idea here is I really want to kind of double the 3 with kind of like that Iowa type of check with man-to-man from that video I gave you on Nick Saban, but do it from like a different type of defense. And I know we can do this with these guys poaching the 3 depending on what happens. So what's going to happen in the actual play, you're going to see, I don't remember what these two players were doing, but I believe 3 runs like a crossing pattern and 1 goes in. So what's going to happen? Cut 1 is his first process, right? So does 1 run inside underneath? Yes. So he has to take the route. So is this guy free? No, because he's matching 1 out and up. Is 1 out and up? No, he's going inside. So now he poaches 3. So you're going to see him kind of climb over, and it looks almost like a trap. And me, I screwed up because I was here. You're going to see me miss the jam, and that's my problem with the game. I don't know what's going on, why I'm missing the jams at the LOS, which would have made this play a lot better. And because I missed the jam and he flies right by me, I just let him go looking to help out on something underneath, knowing that someone's going to poach the 3, right? So why don't we go ahead and take a look at it? And you'll see me miss. You see how I missed that, right? And look at the tight end. He's going to cut inside. He's going to take that route, and he's going to be right in the window here. And look how that pans out, right? So it's not as likely for the number 3 to run like straight up the hash here, right? Usually 3 is running like a crossing type pattern. So this is why it's not, I used to think it was horrible to have this guy in a match 1 and out or poach 3, but it's not as bad. And here we get what looks like a trap type deal here, okay? And theoretically, I would have wanted to be outside leverage here, right? So he should be bracketed here, okay? But I just missed a jam, and I'm like, all right, let me let him go, okay? But because my team is garbage, that happens, right? So, here we see the issue with Mut when you don't have a team that is closely related to your opponent. So obviously I got to get a lot more players, and I don't know if I'm going to continue to play this to do that because it seems like a lot of work. I may just buy a pack, but you know, I kind of don't. It's not like I have money growing off of my backyard tree, you know. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, this is where I decided to play stress, and we get all verticals there, and he just kind of misses the throw. I think he overthrows it. So we get the ball back, and here's what I'm talking about. It looks like he's blitzing, but look at what my opponent does. He takes that backer and he widens him over here. Why is he doing that? That's because we've hit him a couple of times on this slant. So he's compromising like the integrity of his defense in a way that just doesn't make any sense. If you're going to play a blitz, why would you align him out here? The only thing you would do by doing that is kind of discourage me from throwing that. But it doesn't make any sense if he's actually blitzing. You're kind of putting him at a worse angle to attack, right? I think he was usering that player. So what does that do for us? Well, it kind of opens up running opportunities. But again, the discrepancy in talent from my team to his team, he can kind of get away with doing stuff like this, okay? So real briefly, I kind of want to get into what one of you guys stated. So I know he's blitzing. I actually pressed X at the top of my drop. So this is me being a horrible player. I predetermined, all right, I'm going to throw at the top of my drop to this guy. I don't know. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just do the dumbest stuff, right? Because I just assume, right? But I shouldn't assume, even though I know you're calling cover 0, I should not assume that someone's going to come scot-free. He might be doing something like what he's doing to where he's only rushing 5 and he's taking that 6th defender and roaming around somewhere. Okay? So, you know, it'd be nice to have a deep post pattern ran, but again, talent discrepancy, right? But I accidentally pressed R1. So it worked out for me. I wanted to throw to X. And a lot of times I do that because I just don't see, like my opponent, you saw where he was. He was there when I hit the button. It's like, well, I know you're going to take the drag. Why would you just completely like ignore the drag and be running this way? Right? So you're going to take the low, so I got to throw the high and he's got to beat his man, right? And I just accidentally pressed R1. So that's one thing you got to do. Don't assume that your opponent's going to do what your mind is programming yourself to think that he's going to do. I do that a lot. And it works out for me in a lot of cases, but sometimes it bites me because my guy does something that I didn't think he was going to do, and then I throw an interception. So anyways, this is why I started incorporating like a more wider zone type run, because he was widening that guy. I don't think it really makes too much sense, but I knew he was blitzing, so I kind of wanted to get to where maybe I can, now obviously I'm going to run inside there with that play. But I kind of wanted to, okay, that's why, because he was shifting them as well. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I incorporate some wide zone with that shift? That's why. So he shifts again, and let's see what he does with that backer. Does he move him over there? No, he doesn't. We run the wide zone, we take outside, and we score another touchdown. And I do that a lot too. I feel bad doing that. You see that fake? When I know there's a big momentum, and I only do it a lot of times when I'm up 13-0 or I'm up 2 touchdowns, I just scored. A lot of people are laxed, and they'll just pick like field goal block because they're just so pissed at what happened. And then you kind of pour it on them by getting an extra point, you know, so that's why I do that. You know, hey, we're trying to win. So he goes gun tight open, and this is where I'm like, you know what, let me run something different. I couldn't remember how this would look. I thought it would be more of a maybe double stack a little wider. So this is where I'm like, you know what, let me run 2 match, but let me run with a blitz package. Dime blitz 2. And then let's turn this into a creeper blitz. So if you don't know what a creeper blitz is where you are sending a blitz from the 2nd or 3rd level. So do we have that in this play? Yes. 2nd or 3rd level would be like your corners, backers, or safeties. And then on top of that, you're taking someone from the 1st level and inserting them into the back end. So you're rushing 4, but it's a non-traditional 4. You're not rushing the front 4. And you're maintaining like the integrity of the coverage on the back end. So how can we do that with this? Because we have the second level coming in, but we don't have someone from the first level inserting into the back end. Well, it's easy to do that with cover 2 match, because in 2 match, remember, you have to have both of these guys in soft squats, and you have to get rid of the mid read. Well, we already have soft squats when you call cover 2 zone with the blitz, and the only thing we're missing, well, we're actually missing the mid read, and that's what we want. So these guys will play matching principles against traditional formations. And then what we do is we just take one of these defensive linemen and then we relate to the number 3, right? So now we're running a creeper blitz with literally no adjustments, right? And now I'm going to relate to the number 3, right? Now I don't know how cover 2 match is coded against a stacked look like this. I would have to check it out, but I think they primarily just play like regular cover 2 zone. Okay. So let's see how the pressure goes. I mean, look at that. And it's just gold, right? So we're only rushing 4 and we get pressure, right? So this is me picking this play for the first time in the game. Just knowing the concept, what I'm trying to do. I'm relating to the number 3, this guy here. What I didn't like with this play is that the vert hook kind of matches on the 3, right? You would want him to match the 2 going vertical, right? But he doesn't, because I'm going to whiten and take this guy. But obviously the game doesn't know that I'm doing that because I'm supposed to be rushing, right? But it is what it is. He rushes the throw because of the hit, and we get an interception. So that's just beautiful defense. And I believe this is where Mr. Koff had enough, and he decides to do something else. So pretty cool game. I thought that this video would be decent enough to release. So because I like the fact that, you know, I kind of went over how you can kind of build your own coverages, guys. You know, just go over the rule set that I dropped on TRIX tight end flex, and then or any formation, as long as you know the rules, and you make little adjustments in the rules, but you want to do it in a way to where it makes sense with the defense, to where you're not you're still sound in structure, right? Now if you guys ask, well, what about run fits and all that? Look, if I were to go over run fits and how it ties in with the back end, videos would be way too long, man, and that would take a lot of time because you would have to sit down and make sure everything makes sense. So, you know, that's why I just do the passing side of it, and then maybe later down the road I'll get into some run fit stuff, but I don't think that that's too exciting for most people. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you keep coming back, man. Peace.